Hey guys, we're going live. Today we're talking about milk and lactose intolerance. There's a lot of people that are sensitive to milk, well, not just lactose intolerance, but just sensitivity to milk in general. A lot of people are lactose intolerant, but some people are sensitive to some of the proteins as well. Hey Marcus, welcome. I thought this was an interesting topic. I learned recently about something that is called A2 milk. And so I'll explain kind of a little bit about what that is and if it's something that might be able to help you if you're one of those dairy sensitive people. So, hey Kelly, thanks for joining. So, basically, people that are sensitive to milk can have a lot of different problems. So some people just have like digestive discomfort. It can cause, in the more serious cases, it can cause, stomach pain. It can cause inflammation throughout the body, which is a problem in a lot of the diseases that I've been studying these days. And it can also cause, interestingly enough, like slower cognitive function. So you think and process things slower in some of the studies if you're sensitive to milk. So, and bloating and that sort of thing. I found out recently that dairy causes my face to break out. So if I stay off of it, then my face clears up within a few days. If I have dairy, my face breaks out within 24 hours. So that was kind of an interesting find for me. All my life, I had no idea I had a dairy sensitivity, and makes me wonder as a teenager when I had a lot of acne if I could have cleared that just by going off of dairy. So interesting find for me. And Kelly says her too. So yeah. And I wonder how many people that is the case for. So yeah, milk can be problematic for a lot of people. However, there's some really interesting stuff out about A2 milk, and so I'll explain. So there is a sugar in milk called lactose, and you probably heard of people being lactose intolerant, meaning that they don't have the ability to digest that sugar, and so it causes bloating and things like that. And hey Kelly, another Kelly, welcome. So lactose sensitivity is a real thing, and there are many people that are lactose sensitive, especially if you are from, like, your ancestry is from a population where they didn't drink a lot of milk. So like Asian populations tend to have like up to like 90% of them are sensitive to dairy. Whereas if you're like Northern European descent where they drink a lot of milk, you might be less likely to have a sensitivity. So anyhow, so there is lactose intolerance, but what we found in some of the studies recently is that there's a difference in proteins in milk. There's beta casein is kind of one of the main proteins that you find in milk. And there's a couple different variations of beta casein. So Holsteins that we mostly use in America in our dairies have predominantly in their milk something called beta casein A1, whereas like Guernseys and Jerseys and some of the other breeds have are more likely to have beta casein A2. And so if you go to like Australia, all you can find from what I hear is A2 milk on their shelves. All of their, they really promote it there. It's more of a big thing. It's just kind of starting to come onto the market in America. And so let me just show you some of the studies that have been done, because there is still some debate about whether there is any difference between A1 and A2 milk. So the reality of the difference in proteins, that's a real thing. We just, people aren't convinced that it causes, the A1 causes problems. So hey Crystal, thanks for joining. All right, so here's what we found so far. So there was a 2015 study that was on rats, and they found that A1 milk caused slower transit time, more inflammation than the A2 milk. Okay, and then in 2014 there was a double-blind randomized crossover study in humans. So this was a well-designed study, but it was small. It was only 41 people. And so, of course, we always want to see these established, or these trials done on bigger and bigger populations to give us, more meaningful results. But they found, even though it was a small study, it was a well-designed one, that those that had the A1 milk had more bloating, more abdominal pain, more diarrhea, and then those that had the A2 milk. Okay, and then in 2016, there was another study done where they found the A1 milk increased inflammation in the GI tract, delayed transit time, which just means it's being digested more slowly, and that tends to lead to problems usually. It's kind of a risk factor for some different diseases. Digestive discomfort, and then this was the thing that was interesting to me, decreased cognitive processing speed and accuracy. So they weren't thinking as clearly or as quickly when they had the A1 milk versus the A2 milk. And these were done in Chinese participants that had self-reported a sensitivity. So they found that when they gave them only A2 milk, they did not have these symptoms anymore. So really interesting findings, and some larger studies would be awesome, so we could kind of see if these would continue to, these results would, you know, be able to be duplicated at a larger level. But hey, Di, thanks for joining. So that's kind of some of the research on the A1 versus A2 milk. So A2 milk is difficult to find in America, though. It's just coming onto the market. And supposedly there have been partnerships made with some of the health food stores like Sprouts, Whole Foods, and then like Kroger and Albertsons. So you might start like looking for it on the shelves and see. Hey, Heather, thanks for joining. You might see if you might be able to start finding it in some of those stores. As long as you don't have a milk allergy, it's probably pretty safe for you to experiment with A2 milk and just see, you know, if you've had digestive discomfort with dairy in the past, maybe switching over and just trying the A2 and see if you still have the same reactions. And so this is something that I'm looking to do. I have not seen it on the shelves in Winnemucca yet. So I will definitely, if I do see it, I'll definitely grab some and try it out. But are there any questions? Not seeing anything yet. If you go ahead and comment with your questions, though, I will try to answer it in the comments if I didn't address it in the video. So thanks everybody for joining. I thought that was some interesting stuff to share about milk. A lot of people love milk but are sensitive to it, so it could be something that could help you. Oh, Kelly's got a question. Is it only in milk or other dairy products? Oh, good question. So any sort of milk that's coming from like a Holstein cow, so you won't find it in like goat, sheep milk. Humans don't have it in their milk, so like for babies that are breastfed, you won't find the A1 milk. We have an A2 like protein in human milk, same thing with sheep's and goat milk. But if you're looking for cow milk, you need to find not like a non-Holstein breed of cow, and then it would transfer over to like that, you know, that protein is still going to be in the product if you're looking at like yogurt or kefir or something like a milk derived product, because the protein is still there. So good question. Any other questions? All right, we'll call it good. Thanks for joining, everybody. Hope you learned something. Hope that was helpful. Definitely something I'm going to be experimenting with.